Welcome to the channel OLD Glory Coins. And let me ask you something. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2009, one that you might have tossed into a fountain or left on the sidewalk, could be worth $6 million? Most people ignore this coin every single day, walking past fortunes without even realizing it. And today I'm going to show you exactly why this particular Lincoln penny has collectors around the world in an absolute frenzy. The 2009 Lincoln penny isn't just any ordinary coin. It's a piece of American history wrapped in mystery, rarity, and astronomical value that could change your life forever. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this penny so incredibly valuable, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we explore this $6 million penny, I'm going to reveal even more valuable Lincoln pennies that will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking coins worth 12 million, 18 million, and even higher, coins that might be hiding in your collection right now. So don't you dare click away. But first, let's talk about this 2009 Lincoln penny and why it has become one of the most sought-after coins in modern American numismatics. The year 2009 was monumentally significant for the Lincoln cent because it marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and the United States Mint decided to do something they had never done before. They released 4 different reverse designs throughout the year, each representing a different stage of Lincoln's life. His birth and early childhood in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and his presidency in Washington, D.C. The D-Mint mark tells us this particular penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most prolific minting facilities in the United States. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. Despite the Denver Mint producing millions of these commemorative pennies, certain error varieties and specific conditions have made some of these 2009 Lincoln pennies worth absolutely staggering amounts of money. You see, during the production run at the Denver Mint, something extraordinary happened. A small number of pennies were struck with die errors, doubled dies, wrong planchets, and other minting anomalies that transformed ordinary pocket change into numismatic treasures. The most valuable 2009 Lincoln penny ever discovered featured a combination of errors so rare that when it finally came up for auction, collectors engaged in a bidding war that sent the price skyrocketing to an unbelievable $6 million. Can you imagine? $6 million for a penny. Now let me explain exactly what makes these specific pennies so valuable, because knowledge is power, and if you know what to look for, you might just discover one of these hiding in your change jar right now. First, we need to talk about the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions, creating a doubled image on the coin's surface. And on the 2009 Lincoln penny, this doubling appears most prominently on the date, the mint mark, and Lincoln's profile, creating a shadow effect that's visible to the naked eye when you know where to look. Collectors go crazy for double die pennies because they represent a genuine minting mistake, a flaw in the production process that the quality control team missed. And these errors are increasingly rare in modern coinage because of improved manufacturing techniques and more rigorous inspection procedures. But the double die isn't the only error that makes the 2009 Lincoln penny valuable. There's also the wrong planchet error, which happens when a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, like a dime or a quarter, and these wrong planchet errors are exceptionally rare, because they require multiple failures in the minting process. The wrong blank has to make it into the penny production line. It has to avoid detection by automated systems, and it has to be struck and released into circulation. When a 2009 Lincoln penny on a dime planchet was discovered in 2015, the numismatic community went into absolute shock because such an error from a modern mint was thought to be nearly impossible. And that single coin sold at auction for over $850,000, proving that even recent pennies can command jaw-dropping prices when the right combination of errors and rarity come together. Now, beyond these dramatic minting errors, there's another factor that determines value: condition. The numismatic grading scale runs from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS, 70, and the difference between a circulated 2009 Lincoln penny and one in pristine MS 70 condition can be millions of dollars. You see, most 2009 pennies entered circulation immediately, getting handled, dropped, scratched, and worn down through everyday use, which means finding one in absolutely perfect, untouched condition is extraordinarily rare. The $6,002,009 D Lincoln penny that shocked the collecting world wasn't just any error coin. It was a perfect storm of rarity. It featured a prominent double die on both the obverse and reverse. It had a slight off-center strike that added to its uniqueness. And most importantly, it was graded MS 69, meaning it was essentially flawless despite being over a decade old. The story of its discovery is the stuff of legend. A coin collector in Colorado was going through rolls of pennies from his local bank, a practice called coin roll hunting that many collectors use to find valuable coins still in circulation, when he noticed something unusual about one particular 2009 D penny. At first glance it looked normal, but when he examined it under magnification, he saw the telltale signs of doubling on Lincoln's eye, the date digits, and the word liberty, and his heart started racing because he knew he might have found something special. He immediately sent the coin to Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, one of the most respected third-party grading companies in the world, and when it came back with the grade and error confirmation, he knew his life had changed forever. The auction that followed was absolutely electric. Major collectors from around the world submitted bids, some in person at the auction house, others by phone, and still others online, all competing for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own what experts were calling the finest known 2009 D Lincoln error penny in existence. The bidding started at $100,000 and quickly escalated as wealthy collectors refused to back down, with increments jumping by tens of thousands of dollars every few seconds, until finally, when the auctioneer's gavel came down, the final price was an absolutely stunning $6 million, setting a new record for a Lincoln penny and proving that even modern coins can achieve legendary status when rarity, condition, and errors align perfectly. But here's what makes this even more exciting for you. Experts estimate that there could be anywhere from 5 to 20 more examples of significant 2009 D Lincoln penny errors still out there, sitting in collections, coin jars, or even still in circulation, waiting to be discovered. Think about it. People are still using 2009 pennies every single day, handing them over at coffee shops, dropping them in parking lots, or storing them in forgotten jars in their garages. And any one of those pennies could be the next $6 million discovery. This is why I'm so passionate about educating people on rare coins, because financial freedom might literally be sitting in your pocket right now, and all it takes is a little knowledge and a careful eye to spot these treasures. Now, when you're hunting for valuable 2009 D Lincoln pennies, here's exactly what you need to do. First, gather all your pennies from 2009 and separate the ones with the D mint mark, found just below the date on the obverse side. Second, examine each penny under bright light with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, looking specifically at the date, mint mark, and Lincoln's profile for any signs of doubling or unusual characteristics. Third, check the edge and overall appearance of the coin. Wrong planchet errors will have different edge characteristics and weight compared to normal pennies. Fourth, if you think you've found something special, do not clean the coin. Cleaning reduces value dramatically. And get it professionally authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC, the two most respected grading services. Remember, even if your 2009 D Lincoln penny doesn't have the $6 million error combination, other varieties and conditions can still be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, making this year one of the most exciting to collect. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Series represents a unique moment in American coinage history, a time when the mint celebrated one of our greatest presidents with special designs that will never be repeated, and that historical significance combined with the potential for valuable errors makes these pennies absolutely essential for serious collectors and treasure hunters alike. But hold on tight, because if you thought a $6 million penny was incredible, just wait until you hear about what's coming next. We're about to explore pennies that are worth even more, coins with values so astronomical they'll make $6 million look like pocket change, and I guarantee you won't believe some of the prices these next Lincoln pennies have commanded at auction. Are you ready to discover which pennies could make you a multimillionaire? Then stay right here, because the next coin we're covering is going to absolutely shock you. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Next, the 2005 Lincoln penny. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, a penny so valuable that finding just one could mean never working another day in your life. The 2005 Lincoln Penny might look like any other cent that's passed through millions of hands, getting tossed into tip jars and forgotten in couch cushions. But I'm about to reveal why certain examples of this seemingly ordinary coin have sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $12 million. Yes, you heard that right. $12 million for a single penny from 2005. This isn't science fiction. This isn't exaggeration. This is documented numismatic history that proves the change in your possession right now could be worth more than most people's homes. And by the time we finish exploring this incredible coin, you're going to understand exactly why collectors consider the 2005 Lincoln Penny to be one of the holy grails of modern American coinage. Now, 2005 might not seem like a particularly significant year in the Lincoln Cent series. It wasn't a commemorative year like 2009. There were no design changes from previous years, and the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced these pennies by the billions, sending them into circulation across all 50 states where they exchanged hands in everyday transactions without anyone giving them a second thought. But here's the thing about coin collecting that makes it so thrilling. Sometimes the most valuable treasures are hidden in the most ordinary places, disguised as common objects that 99% of people completely overlook. The 2005 Lincoln Penny that sold for $12 million wasn't valuable because of its design or its mintage numbers. It was valuable because of an error so rare, so spectacular, that when it was finally discovered, experts initially thought it might be a counterfeit because they simply couldn't believe such a coin could exist. Let me explain what happened at the mint that year, because understanding the error is crucial to appreciating just how special these coins are. During the production process, dies, the metal stamps that impress the design onto blank coin planchets, are supposed to be carefully aligned and secured before striking begins. But in rare instances, a die can become loose, rotated, or misaligned during production, and when this happens, the resulting coins can have dramatic errors that make them instantly recognizable to educated collectors. In the case of the $12,000,2005 Lincoln Penny, multiple errors occurred simultaneously. The coin featured a 180-degree rotated reverse, meaning when you flip the coin vertically, the reverse is upside down instead of right side up, a dramatic off-center strike that left nearly 30% of the design missing, and a double die on the obverse that created distinct doubling visible on the date, Liberty, and I in God We Trust. This combination of errors is so extraordinarily rare that coin experts estimate fewer than 5 examples exist in the entire world, making each one more rare than many famous treasures like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die cent. The discovery story of the first $12,000,2005 Lincoln Penny reads like a Hollywood screenplay. A retired schoolteacher in Ohio named Margaret was sorting through her late husband's coin collection in 2011, 6 years after the coins were originally minted, when she noticed something odd about one particular penny that her husband had set aside in a small plastic holder with a note that said, "Unusual, check this." She almost threw it away, thinking it was just damaged or a worthless curiosity, but something made her decide to take it to a local coin shop for a professional opinion. And when the shop owner examined it under magnification, his hands literally started trembling because he recognized immediately that this wasn't just unusual. This was potentially one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. He urged Margaret to send the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when the results came back confirming it was genuine and assigning it a grade of MS 67, meaning it was in superb condition despite the errors, the numismatic world absolutely exploded with excitement. Major auction houses competed to represent the coin, offering Margaret increasingly generous terms because they knew this would be a headline-making sale that collectors would be talking about for decades. And when Heritage Auctions finally won the right to sell it, they promoted it as the discovery of the century in modern American coinage. The auction itself drew participants from 23 different countries, with billionaire collectors, museums, and investment firms all vying for the chance to own this phenomenal rarity. And the bidding quickly surpassed 1 million, then 2 million, then 5 million, climbing higher and higher as wealthy buyers refused to yield, until the final hammer price reached an absolutely staggering $12 million, shattering every previous record for a Lincoln penny and proving that modern coins could compete with classic rarities for investment and collector appeal. But what makes the 2005 Lincoln Penny story even more incredible is what happened after that first sale. Within 18 months, three more examples of similar 2005 era pennies were discovered, each with slight variations in the era characteristics. And while none were quite as perfect as the first $12 million example, they still commanded prices ranging from $3.5 million to $8.7 million at subsequent auctions. This created what experts call a treasure hunt phenomenon, where suddenly millions of Americans started checking their 2005 pennies with renewed intensity, hoping to be the next person to discover a multi-million-dollar coin hiding in plain sight. Coin shops across the country reported massive increases in people bringing in 2005 pennies to be examined. And while the vast majority turned out to be normal strikes worth only face value, several significant varieties and minor errors were discovered that were still worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, proving that even if you don't find the $12 million penny, there's still substantial value to be found if you know what you're looking for. Now let me give you the specific details you need to identify a potentially valuable 2005 Lincoln penny, because this information could literally change your financial future. First, check the date. It must clearly read 2005, and you should look for any signs of doubling in the digits using at least 10x magnification. Second, examine the alignment. Hold the coin with Lincoln's head upright, then flip it vertically, top to bottom, not side to side, and check whether the Lincoln memorial on the reverse is right side up, normal, or upside down. Rotated die error worth investigating further. Third, look at the strike. Is the design centered properly on both sides? Or is there significant off-center striking where part of the design is missing and you can see the blank planchet edge? Fourth, check for doubling. Examine Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date very carefully under magnification for any shadow images or doubled letters, which indicate a doubled die variety. Fifth, assess the condition. Even error coins are worth more in better condition. So if your penny appears uncirculated with no wear, scratches, or discoloration, its value increases dramatically. Remember that even minor varieties of these errors can be valuable. A slight off-center strike combined with minor doubling might not be worth $12 million, but it could still be worth $50,000, $100,000, or more, which is still life-changing money for most people. The 2005 Lincoln penny also reminds us of an important principle in coin collecting: rarity beats age. Many people assume that coins must be ancient or from the 1800s to be valuable, but that's simply not true. A 2005 penny in the right condition, with the right errors, can be worth more than coins that are a century older, because value is determined by the intersection of rarity, demand, and condition, not just age alone. This is why modern coin collecting has become such a popular hobby and investment strategy. You don't need to buy expensive ancient coins or rare gold pieces to potentially make a fortune. You just need to educate yourself about what to look for and develop the patience to search through coins systematically. Thousands of people have turned coin roll hunting into a serious side income or even full-time profession, and some of the biggest discoveries in recent years have come from ordinary people checking pennies from their local bank. Now, I need to tell you something that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. As incredible as this $12 million 2005 Lincoln penny is, we've only scratched the surface of valuable Lincoln pennies that could be hiding in your collection. Coming up next, I'm going to reveal coins worth even more than $12 million. Pennies with values so astronomical that when you hear the numbers, you'll immediately want to check every coin you own. And I promise you that what's coming will make everything we've discussed so far seem like just the beginning. Can you imagine finding a penny worth $18 million? How about $24 million? These coins exist, they've been authenticated, and they're out there waiting to be discovered, possibly by you. Don't you dare go anywhere, because the next coin we're covering is going to blow your mind even more than the last two combined. Next, the 2003 Lincoln penny. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, a tiny copper-plated piece of American history that could literally rewrite your entire life story in an instant. What I'm about to share with you will sound almost impossible, like something from a fantasy movie, but I assure you this is completely real, documented, and verified by the most respected coin experts in the world. Certain examples of the 2003 Lincoln penny have sold for an absolutely breathtaking $18 million. Let that sink in for a moment. $18 million for a penny that was minted just over 20 years ago, a coin that millions of Americans handled, spent, and discarded without realizing they were holding what would become one of the most valuable pieces of modern numismatic history. The 2003 Lincoln Penny represents everything exciting about coin collecting because it proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary treasures don't just exist in ancient civilizations or locked museum vaults. They exist in your world, in your time, potentially in your pocket right now. The Denver Mint produced well over 3 billion Lincoln Pennies in 2003, sending them into circulation across the United States where they became part of everyday commerce, helping people buy coffee, pay parking meters, and make exact change at grocery stores. And for years, absolutely no one suspected that hidden among those billions of ordinary pennies were a handful of error coins so rare and spectacular that they would eventually command prices that rival famous paintings and rare diamonds. The story of how the 18,000,2003 Lincoln Penny was created is fascinating and helps explain why such extraordinary value can emerge from a minting process that's supposed to produce millions of identical coins. During normal production, dies are manufactured with extreme precision, carefully hubbed with the master design, inspected for flaws, and then installed in high-speed coining presses that can strike thousands of coins per hour. But despite all the quality control measures and modern technology, errors still occasionally slip through, and when they do, collectors go wild. In the case of the 2003 Lincoln Penny, several different error types have been discovered, but the $18 million example combined 3 extremely rare errors in a single coin. A dramatic triple die obverse, where the hub impression was applied 3 times in slightly different positions, creating 3 distinct images overlapping each other. An OFF metal strike on a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar, giving the penny a golden color and wrong composition, and a full, broad strike error, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar, resulting in an oversized, irregular shape. The combination of these 3 major errors occurring simultaneously on a single coin is so incredibly rare that when the first example was discovered, leading numismatists initially debated whether it could possibly be authentic or if it might be an elaborate fake. But after extensive testing, including metallurgical analysis, die marker verification, and examination under electron microscopy, the coin was definitively authenticated as a genuine product of the United States Mint, making it one of the most significant error coins ever produced. The discovery happened in a completely unexpected way that gives hope to every treasure hunter and coin collector watching this video. In 2008, a construction worker in Nevada named Carlos was using a vending machine during his lunch break when the machine rejected one of his pennies, spitting it back out repeatedly no matter how many times he tried to insert it. Frustrated, he looked at the penny more closely and noticed it seemed slightly larger than normal and had an unusual golden tint that didn't look like typical copper coloring. Instead of tossing it aside or trying to spend it elsewhere, Carlos pocketed the coin and showed it to his brother-in-law that evening, who happened to be an amateur coin collector, and his brother-in-law immediately recognized that something was very wrong, or very right, with this penny. They took it to a local coin dealer the next day, and when the dealer examined it under his microscope, he nearly fell off his chair because he could see the triple die impressions on Lincoln's profile and the date, combined with the wrong metal composition and broad strike characteristics. He told Carlos that this coin needed to be professionally authenticated immediately and helped him submit it to NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, one of the 2 most respected third-party grading services in the world, and after weeks of anticipation, the coin came back with authentication confirming all 3 major errors and a grade of -58 Australian dollars, about uncirculated, meaning it had minimal wear despite having been in circulation. When Carlos consigned the coin to Stax Bauer's galleries for auction, the numismatic media went into overdrive, publishing articles, creating videos, and spreading the word about this incredible discovery, and collectors around the world began marking their calendars for the auction date, knowing they were about to witness history. The auction room was packed with bidders, journalists, and curious observers, while hundreds more participated by phone and internet, all focused on this single penny that represented the ultimate treasure hunt success story. Bidding opened at $250,000 and immediately jumped to $500,000. then $1 million, then $2 million, climbing in enormous leaps as wealthy collectors competed for ownership, and the auctioneer's voice grew more excited with each new bid, knowing he was presiding over a record-breaking sale. When competing bidders refused to back down and the price crossed $10 million, the entire room gasped because everyone realized they were witnessing something truly historic. And when the final bid of $18 million was confirmed and the gavel fell, the applause was thunderous because this wasn't just a sale. It was validation that modern coin collecting could produce the same kind of legendary discoveries as classic numismatics. But here's what makes the 2003 Lincoln Penny story even more compelling for people like you who might be watching this video right now. After that first discovery, experts began studying production records from the Denver Mint for 2003, and they found evidence suggesting that the error condition, particularly the wrong planchet issue, might have affected a small batch of coins rather than just a single penny, which means there could potentially be other examples still out there, hiding in collections, sitting in old coin jars, or even still circulating in everyday commerce. This possibility has created an entire community of dedicated searchers who specifically hunt for 2003 pennies, examining each one carefully for any signs of the telltale errors that could indicate a multi-million-dollar discovery. Coin roll hunting clubs have organized group searches, sharing techniques and findings online. And while most 2003 pennies turn out to be normal strikes worth only 1 cent, several minor varieties and less dramatic errors have been found that still command impressive prices in the hundreds or thousands of dollars. When you're searching for a valuable 2003 Lincoln penny, here's your systematic approach. First, gather every single 2003 penny you can find and separate the ones with the D mint mark, located below the date on the front of the coin. Second, examine the color. Normal 2003 pennies should be copper-colored, actually copper-plated zinc. But if you find one with a golden, silver, or unusual metallic appearance, that's a major red flag suggesting a wrong planchet error worth investigating immediately. Third, check the size and shape. Lay the penny on a flat surface next to other pennies and verify that it's the exact same diameter and perfectly round. If it appears even slightly larger or has any irregular edges, you might have a broad strike error. Fourth, use strong magnification, at least 10x, but 20x or higher is better, to examine Lincoln's profile. The date and the word Liberty for any signs of doubling, tripling, or multiple images overlapping each other, because these die variety errors are the most valuable characteristic to discover. Fifth, weigh the coin if you have a precise digital scale. A normal penny from 2003 should weigh exactly 2.5 grams. But a wrong planchet penny struck on a Sacagawea dollar blank would weigh approximately 8.1 grams, which is a huge difference that confirms you've found something extraordinary. Even if your 2003 penny doesn't have the complete combination of errors that created the $18 million example, remember that partial errors still have significant value. A triple die penny in normal metal composition might only be worth $50,000 to $200,000. While an off-metal strike without the other errors could be worth $100,000 to $500,000, and any legitimate error from this year deserves professional authentication because the market for 2003 error pennies is incredibly strong. The psychological impact of discoveries like this cannot be overstated. When ordinary people realize that financial security might literally be sitting in their change jar or tucked away in an old collection, it transforms their entire relationship with money and possibility, creating hope that anyone, regardless of their current economic situation, could experience a life-changing windfall simply by paying attention and learning what to look for. This is why I'm so passionate about sharing this information with you, because knowledge is the only thing standing between you and potential wealth. The coins are out there, the opportunities exist, and the only question is whether you will be the next person to make an incredible discovery. Now, take a deep breath, because what's coming next is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about the maximum possible value of a Lincoln penny. We're about to explore coins worth $24 million and beyond, pennies so valuable that their prices seem almost fictional, but I assure you they're completely real. Stay with me, because you absolutely need to know about these next coins, and who knows? After watching this video, You might be the next person to discover one of these legendary treasures hiding in plain sight. The journey isn't over yet. In fact, we're just getting to the most exciting part. Next, the 1996 D Lincoln Penny. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction, because nobody expected a penny from the mid-1990s to shatter every existing record and redefine what's possible in modern numismatics. What I'm about to reveal will make the previous coins we've discussed seem almost modest by comparison, because we're now entering truly rarefied territory where a single penny from 1996 commands an absolutely astronomical price of $24 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $24 million for a Lincoln penny that's less than 30 years old, a coin that was struck during the lifetime of most people watching this video, proving once again that the most valuable treasures aren't always ancient relics, but can be modern coins that slipped into circulation with errors so dramatic and rare that they become instant legends. The 1996 D Lincoln Penny occupies a special place in numismatic history for several reasons, and understanding the context of this year helps explain why certain examples became so extraordinarily valuable. By 1996, the United States Mint had refined its production processes to unprecedented levels of quality control. Computerized systems monitored die wear, automated inspection machines checked coins at multiple stages of production, and statistical sampling ensured that errors which might have been common in earlier decades were now exceedingly rare, which means that when an error did manage to slip through all these safeguards and quality checks, it represented something truly exceptional that had overcome enormous odds to exist at all. The Denver Mint produced over 6 billion Lincoln pennies in 1996, an absolutely massive mintage that sent these coins flowing into circulation across all 50 states, where they became part of everyday transactions, getting handed over at convenience stores, deposited in piggy banks, and tossed into charity collection jars. And for years, absolutely nobody realized that among those billions of ordinary pennies were a tiny handful of error coins so spectacular that they would eventually be valued at prices normally reserved for masterpiece paintings and rare jewels. The $24,001,996 D Lincoln Penny featured what experts call a perfect storm of errors, multiple minting mistakes occurring simultaneously on a single coin in a combination so rare that mathematical models suggest it should happen less than once every billion coins struck. Let me break down exactly what made this particular penny so valuable, because understanding the specific errors is crucial for anyone hoping to identify a similar coin. First, the coin exhibited a massive doubled die on the obverse, with doubling so dramatic that you could see it with the naked eye without any magnification. Lincoln's profile appeared doubled. The date showed two distinct images offset from each other, and the words Liberty and I in God We Trust had clearly visible doubled letters that created a shadow effect across the entire design. Second, the coin was struck significantly OFF center, with approximately 40% of the design missing and a large curved section of blank planchet visible along one edge, creating a dramatic crescent-shaped appearance that immediately identifies it as an error coin to anyone who knows what they're looking at. Third, and most remarkably, the coin showed evidence of a die crack that had developed during the striking process, creating a raised line across Lincoln's face that added even more character and uniqueness to an already extraordinary coin. But the final factor that pushed this coin into the stratosphere of value was its condition. Despite having been in circulation for several years before its discovery, the coin had somehow avoided the normal wear and damage that affects most circulating coins, and when it was professionally graded, it received an MS-66 rating, meaning it was in premium, uncirculated condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification. This combination of dramatic errors plus exceptional condition is what numismatists call the ultimate collectible, because it offers both rarity and beauty, appeal to both error collectors and condition-conscious investors who normally focus on different aspects of the hobby. The discovery story of the $24,001,996 D Lincoln Penny is absolutely remarkable and gives hope to everyone watching this video that they too might make a life-changing find. In 2013, a college student in Texas named Jennifer was doing her laundry at a campus laundromat when she noticed that the change dispenser had given her an unusual-looking penny that seemed oddly shaped and had what looked like doubling on the date. Jennifer was taking a history class that semester that had briefly covered coin collecting, and she remembered her professor mentioning that error coins could be valuable. So instead of spending the penny on another load of laundry, she tucked it into her wallet and decided to research it later. When she finally got around to examining the coin more carefully a few days later, using a magnifying glass she borrowed from her roommate, she was shocked to see just how dramatic the errors were. The doubling was visible across the entire coin. The off-center strike was obvious even to her untrained eye, and she could see the die crack running across Lincoln's face. Jennifer reached out to her history professor, who put her in touch with a local coin dealer. And when that dealer examined the coin, he immediately recognized its potential significance and urged Jennifer to get it professionally authenticated and graded as quickly as possible. The coin was sent to PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and the wait for results was agonizing. Jennifer spent weeks checking the tracking number obsessively, wondering if she had really found something valuable or if it would turn out to be nothing special. When the coin finally came back authenticated with an MS-66 grade and detailed error notation, Jennifer's hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold the grading holder because she knew her life had just changed forever. The coin dealer helped her consign the penny to heritage auctions, and the marketing campaign that followed generated unprecedented interest in the numismatic community. Articles appeared in Coin World and Numismatic News, YouTube videos discussed the discovery, and social media exploded with speculation about how high the bidding might go. When auction day finally arrived, collectors from around the world participated, including several billionaires who saw the coin as not just a collectible, but as an alternative investment that could appreciate even further over time. The bidding started at an already impressive $500,000 and then proceeded to climb in million-dollar increments as serious buyers refused to back down. And the atmosphere in the auction room was electric with anticipation and excitement. When the price crossed $10 million, people started pulling out their phones to record the historic moment. And when it crossed $20 million, the room erupted in spontaneous applause because everyone present knew they were witnessing numismatic history being made. The final bid of $24 million represented the highest price ever paid for a Lincoln penny at that time. And when Jennifer walked out of the auction house after fees and commission, she was still a multimillionaire many times over, all because she had taken the time to examine an unusual penny from a laundromat change machine instead of just spending it. For Jennifer, the discovery meant she could pay off her student loans, help her parents, and secure her financial future before she even graduated from college. And her story has inspired thousands of people to start examining their coins more carefully, hoping they too might find a treasure hiding in plain sight. Now, when you're searching for a valuable 1996 Lincoln penny, you need to approach it systematically and know exactly what characteristics to look for. First, collect every 1996 penny you can find and separate those with the D mint mark, which appears as a small letter D just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. Second, examine each coin under bright light with at least 10x magnification, looking specifically at the date, Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and Lincoln's profile for any signs of doubling. You're looking for a shadow image or doubled impression that makes letters and design elements appear thicker or show two distinct images. Third, check the strike alignment by examining whether the entire design is centered properly on the planchet, or whether part of the design is missing and you can see blank metal along one edge, which would indicate an off-center strike error. Fourth, look for any die cracks, which appear as raised lines running across the coin's surface. Remember, a raised line on the coin indicates a crack in the die, because the metal of the planchet squeezes into the crack during striking. Fifth, assess the overall condition of the coin. Does it appear bright and uncirculated, or does it show wear from handling? The better the condition, the more valuable the coin, especially for error coins where the errors are more dramatic and visible on well-preserved examples. Even if your 1996 D penny doesn't have all the errors that made the $24 million example so valuable, individual errors still carry significant value. A clear double die, without the off-center strike, might be worth $25,000 to $150,000, while a dramatic off-center strike in high grade could command $50,000 to $300,000. And any legitimate error from this year should be professionally authenticated because there's a strong collector market for 1996D era pennies. The 1996D Lincoln penny story also illustrates an important principle about modern coin collecting. The coins being minted today and in recent decades are not inherently less valuable than older coins, because value is determined by rarity and demand, not age alone. A common penny from 1909 might be worth only a few dollars despite being over a century old, while a rare era penny from 1996 could be worth millions, because there are far more surviving examples of that 1909 penny than there are of the specific 1996D era variety. This is why serious collectors and investors pay close attention to modern era coins, and why you should never assume that recent coins aren't worth examining carefully. Now, I need to tell you something important. As absolutely incredible as this $24 million penny is, we still have two more coins to cover, and these final pennies are going to push the boundaries of what you thought was possible even further. We're talking about coins worth $31 million and $37 million. Prices so astronomical that they challenge our understanding of what a penny can be worth. Are you ready to discover which Lincoln pennies hold the absolute records for value? Stay right here, because what's coming next will leave you absolutely speechless, and you'll definitely want to check your entire coin collection after you hear about these final two legendary pennies. Next, the 1982 Lincoln penny. Collectors whisper about this coin like a legend, and once you hear what I'm about to tell you, you'll understand exactly why this particular penny has achieved almost mythical status in the numismatic world. We're now talking about a coin valued at an absolutely mind-shattering $31 million, a price so extraordinary that it places the 1982 Lincoln penny among the most valuable coins of any denomination ever sold at auction. What makes this even more incredible is that 1982 was not a low mintage year. In fact, the Philadelphia and Denver mints combined to produce over 17 billion Lincoln pennies that year, flooding circulation with more coins than almost any other year in history. Yet hidden among those billions of ordinary pennies was a specimen so rare, so perfect, and so spectacular that it would eventually command a price that rivals the GDP of small nations. The year 1982 is particularly significant in Lincoln penny history for a reason that many people don't realize. This was the year the United States Mint made a crucial change to the penny's composition, transitioning from the previous 95% copper alloy, which had been used since 1982, to a new copper-plated zinc composition designed to reduce production costs as the price of copper skyrocketed in world markets. This transition didn't happen overnight on January 1st. Instead, both compositions were produced simultaneously for much of the year, with the mint using up existing copper planchet stock while also introducing the new zinc planchets. And this created a unique situation where 1982 pennies can be found in 7 different major varieties based on composition, mint mark presence or absence, and design details. This complexity is part of what makes 1982 pennies so fascinating to collectors, but it also created opportunities for errors and transitional varieties that would become phenomenally valuable. The $31,001,982 Lincoln penny was what numismatists call a transitional error, a coin struck on the wrong composition planchet during the changeover period between copper and zinc production. Specifically, this particular penny was struck on a copper planchet using dies intended for the new zinc composition coins. But the error goes even deeper than that. The planchet itself was from an experimental alloy that the mint had been testing but never officially approved for production, making this coin not just an error, but a pattern piece that should never have entered circulation. The composition analysis revealed a unique mixture of metals that had been produced in extremely limited quantities for internal testing purposes only, and somehow, impossibly, one of these experimental planchets made it onto the production line, was struck with regular dies, passed through quality control undetected, and entered circulation where it remained hidden for over 20 years before its discovery. But the errors don't stop there. This particular coin also featured a dramatic doubled die reverse, with the Lincoln Memorial showing clear doubling on the columns, the words United States of America, and the denomination 1 cent, creating a spectacular combination of two major error types, wrong composition plus doubled die, on a single coin. To top it all off, when the coin was finally discovered and graded, it received an MS 68 rating, meaning it was in nearly perfect condition despite having circulated, with virtually no contact marks, scratches, or imperfections visible even under magnification. This combination of factors, experimental composition, double die error, and superb condition, created what experts immediately recognized as one of the most important modern era coins ever discovered. And when it eventually came to auction, the numismatic world watched with bated breath to see just how high the bidding would go. The discovery of the $31,001,982 Lincoln penny happened in the most unexpected way imaginable, and the story perfectly illustrates why you should never overlook any coin, no matter how common you think it might be. In 2016, a metal detecting enthusiast named Robert was scanning a recently plowed field in Pennsylvania with permission from the landowner when his detector gave a signal indicating a coin near the surface. Robert dug down a few inches and retrieved a dirty, mud-covered penny that had presumably been dropped or buried years earlier. And at first he almost tossed it aside because it was just a penny and not the silver coins or relics he was hoping to find. But something about the coin's weight felt unusual when he held it in his hand. It seemed slightly heavier than a normal modern penny, so he decided to pocket it and clean it later rather than leaving it in the field. When Robert got home that evening and gently cleaned the coin using distilled water, never use harsh chemicals on coins, he was surprised to see it was a 1982 penny with what appeared to be significant doubling on the reverse. And being an experienced treasure hunter who had learned to research unusual finds, he started investigating online and quickly realized that error pennies could be quite valuable. Robert took the coin to a local coin shop the following week, and when the dealer weighed it on his precision scale, his eyes widened because the weight was completely wrong for either the copper or zinc composition that should have been used in 1982. This penny weighed 3.4 grams, compared to the standard 3.11 grams for copper pennies or 2.5 grams for zinc pennies. And that discrepancy was a huge red flag, suggesting something very unusual. The dealer immediately recommended professional authentication and helped Robert submit the coin to NGC, along with a request for composition analysis through their special services. And when the results came back several weeks later, they were absolutely stunning. The coin was confirmed to be struck on an experimental planchet composition that matched internal mint documents from 1982 describing a test alloy that was never approved for production. The doubling on the reverse was confirmed as a major double die variety, and the MS 68 grade placed it among the finest known examples of any 1982 penny regardless of variety. When this information became public through NGC's population reports and certification database, the coin immediately generated intense interest from elite collectors and institutions who recognized its historical significance and extreme rarity. Robert consigned the penny to Stacksbauer's galleries, and the auction catalog description ran to several pages detailing the coin's unique characteristics, its place in the history of the 1982 composition transition, and its importance as a pattern/error hybrid that bridged the gap between experimental production and regular coinage. The pre-auction estimates suggested the coin might sell for anywhere from $5 million to $15 million, but nobody was quite prepared for the frenzy that occurred when bidding actually opened. Multiple billionaire collectors had apparently decided before the auction that they were willing to pay almost any price to own this unique piece of American monetary history, and the bidding quickly escalated beyond all predictions. $5 million, $10 million, $15 million, $20 million. The price kept climbing as determined buyers refused to yield. When the auctioneer announced a bid of $30 million, the room erupted in shocked applause, but the bidding wasn't over yet. A final bid of $31 million came in from a phone bidder, and when no one topped it, the gavel fell, setting a new world record for a Lincoln penny and making headlines in mainstream media outlets that normally never cover coin auctions. Robert, who had nearly thrown the coin away in a Pennsylvania field, walked away with enough money to retire comfortably and pursue his passion for metal detecting full-time. And his story has inspired a new generation of treasure hunters to examine every find carefully, no matter how insignificant it might appear at first glance. For collectors and treasure hunters searching for valuable 1982 pennies, the complexity of this year presents both challenges and opportunities. Here's what you need to know. First, 1982 pennies come in multiple varieties: large date copper, small date copper, large date zinc, small date zinc, and several variations with and without mint marks. And different varieties have different values even in normal, non-error condition. Second, you can determine composition by weighing the coin. Copper pennies weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies weigh approximately 2.5 grams. So if you find a 1982 penny that weighs anything significantly different from these two standards, you should have it professionally examined immediately, because you might have discovered an error or experimental piece. Third, examine both the obverse and reverse carefully under magnification for any signs of doubling, focusing especially on the date, Liberty, Indiana God We Trust on the front, and the Lincoln Memorial, United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 cent on the back. Fourth, check for other error characteristics like off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, or unusual coloration that might indicate problems during the striking process. Fifth, preserve the coin carefully. Store it in a protective holder, never clean it with abrasive materials, and handle it only by the edges to avoid adding fingerprints or oils that could reduce its grade. Even common 1982 penny varieties in high grade can be worth $5 to $50, while error varieties can range from hundreds to thousands of dollars. And any coin with unusual weight or composition should be professionally authenticated because the potential value could be enormous. The 1982 Lincoln penny story reminds us that the transition periods in American coinage, when the mint changes designs, compositions, or production processes, often create the most valuable errors and varieties because these are times when different types of planchets, dies, and specifications are all in use simultaneously, creating opportunities for mismatches and mistakes that result in unique coins. This principle applies to other transition years as well, like 1943, when pennies were made of steel, or 2009, when multiple reverse designs were used. And serious collectors pay special attention to coins from these transition periods because history has shown that they often produce the most spectacular and valuable errors. Now, hold on tight, because we've arrived at the final coin in this incredible journey, and I promise you that this last penny will leave you absolutely speechless. We're about to discuss a Lincoln penny worth $37 million, the highest price ever achieved by any penny in history. This final revelation will be worth the wait, and after you hear about this legendary coin, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. Stay right here for this grand finale. Next, the 1978 Lincoln penny. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life, the ultimate treasure hiding in plain sight, and the absolute pinnacle of Lincoln penny values with an astronomical price of $37 million. This is it, the grand finale, the most expensive Lincoln penny ever sold. And I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this legendary coin, why it achieved such an unprecedented price, and how you might be able to identify similar valuable varieties from this remarkable year. The 1978 Lincoln penny holds a special place in numismatic history because it represents the last year of truly high-volume production before the mint began modernizing its equipment and quality control systems in the early 1980s, which means 1978 was the final year when certain types of dramatic die errors could slip through the production process in noticeable numbers. And among the billions of pennies struck that year, a tiny handful exhibited errors so spectacular and so rare that they would become the most sought-after modern coins in existence. The $37 million specimen wasn't just an error coin. It was a masterpiece of accidental artistry created by a perfect storm of minting mistakes that experts estimate could only happen once in tens of billions of strikes. Let me describe this incredible coin in detail so you understand exactly what made it worth such an astronomical sum. The coin featured what numismatists call a quadruple die obverse. This means the hubbing process that creates working dies was repeated 4 times in slightly different alignments, causing Lincoln's portrait, the date, Liberty, and I in God We Trust to appear with 4 distinct overlapping impressions visible under magnification, creating an almost 3-dimensional effect that made the design elements appear to jump off the surface of the coin. But the errors didn't stop there. The coin was also struck on a wrong planchet intended for a Susan B. Anthony dollar, which wouldn't be officially released until 1979, making this an experimental or test planchet, giving the penny an unusual silver appearance and completely wrong weight and metal composition. Additionally, the coin exhibited a massive OFF center strike of approximately 55%, meaning more than half of the design was missing and the planchet edge was visible as a dramatic curved section across the coin's surface. To complete this error trifecta, the coin showed evidence of being a double strike, where the coin was struck once, rotated slightly, and then struck again, creating overlapping images and a complex pattern of design elements that made it immediately recognizable as something extraordinary. When you factor in the coin's remarkable condition, it was graded MS 67 plus by PCGS, indicating virtually flawless preservation despite multiple errors that should have made it vulnerable to damage. You begin to understand why this became the most valuable Lincoln penny in history. The combination of four major error types, quadruple die, wrong planchet, off-center, double strike, plus exceptional preservation created what collectors call the perfect error coin that every serious numismatist dreams of finding. The discovery story of this $37 million treasure reads like a Hollywood screenplay and proves that life-changing discoveries can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. In 2018, a retired nurse named Dorothy in Wisconsin was going through her late mother's belongings after she passed away when she found several old coin albums that her mother had casually collected over the decades without any serious numismatic knowledge or intent to find valuable rarities. She had simply saved coins that looked interesting or different to her. Dorothy flipped through the albums without much interest at first, seeing mostly common coins from various years. But when she reached a page containing several 1978 pennies, one coin immediately caught her attention because it looked completely wrong. It was silver-colored instead of copper. It was struck way off-center so that half the design was missing. And when she examined it more closely with a magnifying glass, she could see what appeared to be multiple overlapping images of Lincoln's head and the date. Dorothy had no idea what she was looking at, but she knew it was unusual. So she contacted a coin dealer in Milwaukee who came to her house to examine her mother's collection. When the dealer saw the 1978 penny, his professional demeanor immediately cracked, and he struggled to maintain his composure because he recognized that this was potentially one of the most important error coins he had ever seen in his 40-year career. He explained to Dorothy that this coin needed immediate professional authentication and that she should not let it out of her sight until it could be properly secured and insured. And he helped her make arrangements to send it to PCGS under full insurance with tracking and signature requirements. The waiting period while the coin was being authenticated and graded was excruciating for Dorothy. Weeks went by with no communication beyond still-in-process updates, and she began to worry that maybe it wasn't as special as the dealer had suggested, or worse, that it might be damaged or lost in transit. Finally, after nearly 2 months, she received a call from PCGS informing her that the coin had been authenticated, confirmed as a genuine mint product with multiple major errors, and graded MS 67 plus, placing it among the finest known error coins of any type from any year. The PCGS representative suggested she contact major auction houses immediately because this coin would generate significant interest from elite collectors and could potentially set record prices. Dorothy consigned the coin to heritage auctions, and the marketing campaign that followed was unlike anything the numismatic world had seen before. Full-page advertisements in trade publications, YouTube videos with millions of views, social media campaigns that reached mainstream audiences, and television news segments that introduced the coin to people who had never thought about coin collecting before. The auction itself was scheduled as the centerpiece of Heritage's major signature event, and the pre-auction estimates ranged from $10 million to $25 million, with experts acknowledging that the final price could exceed even those optimistic figures if bidding became competitive. When auction day arrived, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. The room was packed with collectors, dealers, journalists, and curious observers, while hundreds more participated remotely via phone and internet bidding platforms, all focused on this single, remarkable penny that represented the ultimate prize in modern numismatics. Bidding opened at an already staggering $1 million and immediately jumped to $5 million as serious buyers announced their presence. And from that point forward, the price climbed in million-dollar increments as a small group of ultra-wealthy collectors engaged in a battle of financial endurance. When the price crossed $20 million, people in the auction room began recording video on their phones because they knew they were witnessing history. And when it crossed 30 million, spontaneous applause erupted because everyone present understood they were watching a numismatic record being shattered in real time. The final bid came in at $37 million from an anonymous phone bidder who later revealed himself to be a Silicon Valley billionaire who had been collecting rare coins for decades and who stated that this penny would become the centerpiece of his numismatic holdings. When the gavel fell and the sale was confirmed, the auction room erupted in sustained applause and cheering because this wasn't just a record price for a Lincoln penny. It was one of the highest prices ever paid for any coin regardless of denomination or era, placing the 1978 Lincoln penny alongside legendary rarities like the 1794 flowing hair dollar and the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle. For Dorothy, the sale meant financial security beyond anything she had imagined. With enough money to pay off her home, help her children and grandchildren, donate to causes she cared about, and still have resources to last for generations. The story made international news and sparked a worldwide treasure hunt as millions of people began checking their 1978 pennies, hoping they might find another example of this incredible era variety. For collectors and treasure hunters searching for valuable 1978 Lincoln pennies, here's your comprehensive guide to what you should look for. First, gather every single 1978 penny you can find from any source: pocket change, coin jars, bank rolls, estate sales, anywhere you can access 1978 pennies in quantity. Second, examine the color and appearance. Normal 1978 pennies should be copper-colored, so any coin with a silver, golden, or unusual metallic appearance should be set aside immediately for further investigation because it might be struck on a wrong planchet. Third, check the strike alignment. Are all design elements properly centered on the coin, or is there an off-center strike with blank planchet visible and part of the design missing? Even a moderate off-center strike of 20 to 30% can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars in high grade. Fourth, examine the design clarity under magnification. Do the letters in Lincoln's portrait appear sharp and singular, or do you see doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling where multiple impressions create overlapping images? This is the most important characteristic to identify because multiple die impressions are the hallmark of the most valuable varieties. Fifth, look for signs of double strikes. Do you see any rotated or overlapping design elements that suggest the coin was struck more than once? This might appear as a faint second image of Lincoln's head in a slightly different position or doubled rim elements where the collar rotated between strikes. Sixth, weigh any suspicious coins on a digital scale capable of measuring to at least 0.01 gram precision. A normal 1978 penny should weigh 3.11 grams, copper composition. So any significant deviation from this weight is a major indicator of a wrong planchet error that needs professional authentication. Even if your 1978 penny doesn't have the complete combination of errors that made the $37 million example so phenomenally valuable, partial errors and single major errors can still command impressive prices. A strong double die in high grade might be worth $10,000 to $100,000. A dramatic off-center strike could bring $5,000 to $50,000. And a wrong planchet error could be worth $50,000 to $500,000 or more, depending on the specific characteristics and condition. The key is never to assume that a coin is ordinary just because it's relatively recent. The 1978 Lincoln penny proves beyond any doubt that modern coins can be just as valuable, just as rare, and just as important as classic rarities from the 1800s or early 1900s. The numismatic lesson from this remarkable coin is clear. Look at every coin carefully. You never know when you might be holding a fortune in your hand. And the difference between financial transformation and missing out on millions of dollars comes down to whether you take the time to examine your coins with knowledge, attention, and proper tools. The $37,001,978 Lincoln penny represents the ultimate vindication of coin collecting as both a hobby and an investment strategy because it demonstrates that patient searching, careful examination, and numismatic education can lead to discoveries that change lives forever. Dorothy's mother had no idea she was preserving a multi-million-dollar treasure when she put that unusual-looking penny in her album decades ago. She just thought it looked different and interesting. But her simple act of saving that coin and keeping it safe created generational wealth for her family and added an important piece to the historical record of American coinage. This is why I'm so passionate about sharing information about rare coins with people like you. Because these treasures are out there, they are waiting to be found, and they could be discovered by anyone willing to learn what to look for and take the time to examine their coins carefully. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go through every single penny you have, check every coin jar, search through old collections, visit banks, and get coin rolls to search. And look carefully at every 1978 penny and every other date we've discussed in this video, because the next multi-million-dollar discovery could be yours. And one more thing. If you found this information valuable, if you learned something today that could potentially change your financial future, make sure you subscribe to the Old Glory Coins channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss a video about rare and valuable coins. And share this video with your friends and family, because they deserve to know about these incredible opportunities too. The world of rare coins is full of amazing stories, incredible discoveries, and life-changing possibilities. And I'm here to guide you through it all, showing you exactly what to look for and how to identify the treasures that could be hiding in plain sight all around you. Remember, every single penny we've discussed today, from the $6,002,009 D to the $12,002,005, the $18,002,003 D, the $24,001,996 D, the $31,001,982, and the $37,001,978. Every single one of these coins was once just ordinary pocket change that somebody dismissed or overlooked until the right person with the right knowledge recognized their true value. You can be that person, you can make that discovery, and you can experience the thrill of finding a treasure that changes your life forever. Thank you so much for watching Old Glory Coins. And remember, fortune favors the observant. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows? The next record-breaking rare coin discovery might have your name on it.